Welcome to the third module of this course, where we will tackle the question of layout. In this video, what I will do is explain exactly what I mean by layout, tell you why it's important for us as visual note takers, and then explain how we will build our layout skills throughout the rest of this module. Let's get into it. When I use the term layout, I'm primarily talking about where on the page you put ideas. If you were simply writing ideas down in prose, you wouldn't have to think about layout. You would just follow the standard format of writing left to right, top to bottom, at least if you're writing in English. But since we're not just writing, but taking visual notes instead, that gives us a lot more freedom when it comes to how and where we put ideas down. And much of the cognitive and creative power of visual note-taking comes from that freedom. But it can be a big jump from easy-to-follow rules like left to right and top to bottom to the more open and non-linear approach of visual note-taking. This module will help you make that transition smoothly without becoming overwhelmed by all of that freedom. Let's look at the power of visual note-taking as it relates to layout. Because of that freedom we have in how we lay out ideas on the page, we must tap into our spatial reasoning skills, both when making decisions about where to put ideas on the page and also when interpreting a completed set of notes. Here, I think it's useful to bring in an analogy that you're likely familiar with. Think about a map. A physical piece of paper used to convey information about some area of land. We use maps to help navigate in a new city or in unfamiliar terrain. They help us to get around in a physical environment. Visual notes are very similar, but instead of mapping out particular areas of land, what they map out is a set of ideas. We then use that map to navigate those ideas and do something with them. We use them to learn about new things, to solve particular problems, and to share ideas with others. And whether you're looking at a map of a physical location or a map of ideas, in both cases, you can use text, layout, imagery, and color to convey information. Working with the layout piece of a map of a physical location is a little bit more straightforward than putting together a map of ideas, because in the first case, you have a physical reality to compare your map against. In the more abstract world of ideas, within which our visual notes live, layout isn't quite as objective. Here are some important variables at play as we think about layout in this world of visual note-taking. The size of what you write on, as well as the size of your writing utensil, will impact your layout. So too will the particular balance between image and text that you choose to strike. You also get to choose how you fill the page, the way in which you deviate from that familiar left to right, top to bottom approach, and what you replace it with. To help you figure out how to approach and combine each of those variables in a way best suited for your context and your goals, here's what we'll be discussing in the rest of this module. First, you will learn about a number of techniques for using layout to connect and separate ideas on the page. Then we'll look at two different approaches to layout. First, a constraint-heavy, structured approach, and then a constraint-light, organic approach. We will then wrap up this module by revisiting the core ideas of the verbal to visual mindset and discussing how those ideas relate to the topic of layout, so that you can begin to develop your own approach to layout that works best for you. Before heading on to the next video, I want you to put that map analogy to the test. Go find a physical map and then pay attention to how text, layout, imagery, and color are used on that map, and what aspects of those uses make it an effective way to communicate ideas. And then see how you might pull in some of those approaches to your own style of visual note-taking. And be sure to share what you find in those maps in the forums before heading on to the next video.